Hi, Bill Yannick here, ConnexFM CEO. Welcome to the Daily Grind. Today on the Daily Grind, very special guest. We have Josh Fickert. He is Senior Director of Business Development for BrandPoint Services, well known throughout ConnexFM. Josh, welcome to the Daily Grind.
Thank you very much, Bill. It's a pleasure being here.
Great. You're joining us bright early in the morning. I guess our audience does know that because we're going to be broadcasting this in the afternoon. But we got a bunch of neat questions for you to talk about stakeholders and project management and all that. Before we get to do that, let's do the old-fashioned intro of who you are and what you do at BrandPoint.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, Bill, Josh Fickert, I formerly was with a different company called Pro Group Contracting. I have been with BrandPoint now for just over a year. Still new to the industry, only been in the facilities maintenance construction industry for about 3 years. Came from kind of the supply side with Ferguson Enterprises, the logistical background. So I've been with BrandPoint, like I said, just over a year. Really excited to be here. Just got introduced to Connex a couple years ago. So really excited to answer some questions and help some people out.
Good stuff. Okay, let's start. I guess the good news is BrandPoint has to juggle multiple projects. You have projects going all across the country. So let's start with what's your strategy and what's BrandPoint do to juggle those multiple priorities? They've got you going all over the place. How do you work that?
Yeah, so there's a couple different ways we do it. One thing we really like to do as a company is we like to set a team up for each individual client. So each multi-site client will have a separate team here at BrandPoint. That way they learn the processes and everything that client actually needs, wants, and needs to deliver for a good project. From there, we have portals or processes that we use that track every single project at the same time. And we have open communication and visibility to those clients so they can go in and see at any time where each project's at, how far we are to completion, if there's any hiccups, any issues with permitting, and so on. So it's just straight visibility to our clients so they know exactly what's going on with each project at all times.
Well, you alluded to it. I wish I was better at this, of using project management principles. Maybe to drill down the next level then, how do you make sure that these various teams then, whatever they're working on, align and then get to the finish line?
Yeah, so there's a couple other things we do. So obviously we have each team, we do daily updates, like I kind of said. So a lot of the times with every project we do, we will send out a PowerPoint presentation every single morning. It'll show what we did the night before, what we're doing that day, and what we plan to do the following day. That way we have a clear structure and our client is clear on what is going to happen. So we follow through that process until probably the last 10% of the job. That's where we get a little more involved with our clients, saying like, hey, we're coming up on the finish line here. Let's schedule our walk, our punch walk, kind of make sure everything's good, neat, and tidied up before we walk off that project.
Yeah, I love that. I spent some time in the military, and the military does that each morning, and it can be a slog until you look back after like a month. It's really helpful because then you have those regular periodic updates and everyone's aligned. Good stuff. So we know, I guess, if the pandemic taught us nothing else, that even large companies like BrandPoint can't do it alone. So you have various stakeholders, partners, other people. How do you then corral all those cats? So you've got your own teams, you're using project management, then you have these various stakeholders within BrandPoint and outside. How do you work with that?
Yeah, so like you said, the pandemic made everything pretty crazy. It was harder to maintain relationships with new vendors, obviously compared to long-term vendors. But what we try to do is we just want to give our vendors, our subs, whoever we're using, as much clarity and insight as to what's coming up in the future as possible. Because what we run into is we'll say, hey, we have this project in a month. It goes for a month. And then if we don't tell them what we have coming down the line, they're going to go off and find some more work. And then that puts us in a tough situation where we have to go out and kind of refine, new people, which we don't want to do. So giving these guys, heads up clarity, what we have coming down the pipe for them, making sure our partnership is strong, keeping them, honest communication, and just letting them know that, they're our partner. We want to continue using them on everything. So they have a peace of mind, and so do we.
Great. Okay. So we've talked I'll throw another analogy out there, the blocking and tackling what BrandPoint does. Let's talk some cool stuff. So I'm sure a company like BrandPoint regularly innovates, wants innovation in their operations and continuous improvement. How do you facilitate that when at the same time you do have this day-to-day pace that I'm sure keeps you busy, but you want to continually improve and innovate. How do you work that?
Yeah, so that one's not tough, but each person's kind of different, right? So each person has a different mindset. So there's actually a book that our team over at BrandPoint just read not too long ago. It's called The Blue Ocean Strategy. Very good book if you haven't read it. So it essentially tells you to go find areas where no one else is playing or where no one else is attacking. So we've kind of used that and kind of implemented it to see different areas, different divisions, different regions that we can go where maybe some of our competitors aren't going, or operationally some of the things that maybe other GCs aren't doing that we can do to effectively move the project faster, cut down on costs, save the client money, anything like that we can innovate. We try to get together, once or twice a month as different divisions and teams to kind of spitball what we have. And then we try to implement it as fast as possible. But obviously we walk before we run when we're implementing something new.
Interesting. Yeah, I am familiar with that book. And do they call it a Red Ocean Report, where everyone's in the same neighborhood?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone. Yeah, for that same book of business. I'll have to relook at that. That's an interesting way. Sometimes the simplest things too. It's like, to use a sports analogy, go where they aren't.
Yeah, exactly, right. And the book it's pretty simple, but sometimes you just don't think about it on a daily basis, and reading it just kind of like sparks it. Like, yeah, that makes sense. I probably should be looking at those kinds of things.
It's too bad we didn't write that book. We'd make a lot of money saying, go where they are. All right, here's a chance for you to toot your own horn or talk about BrandPoint. What makes your company unique? What's BrandPoint do maybe that someone else doesn't offer?
Yeah, so you go to Connex and some of these other conferences, and there's a plethora of general contractors, facilities maintenance companies out there. With BrandPoint, and like I said, I've only been here for just over a year and a half. And one of the things that BrandPoint does very, very well is we're very honest with our clients and prospects. One of the biggest things that I've seen is you go to a conference and a client goes, "Hey, I have these projects throughout the country. Can you handle them?" And almost all the time they're saying that all these other GCs or companies are saying, yep, we can handle them. So from our seat is, listen, we can handle things throughout the country, but we are stronger in different areas, and we always will be. So we try to portray as much honesty, like, hey, you know what, we can probably handle those, but that's not our strong suit. This is where we want to live. And I think the clients and our prospects appreciate that more than anything. Being upfront and honest in the beginning. And then from there, it's just, creating that partnership. It's not just a business deal, right? We want these guys to become friends and, come to our annual summit at the end of the year and speak to us. And it becomes more of a friendship partnership than just like hey, they give us a check and, we're giving them the business. We try to make it like family here at BrandPoint.
Good stuff. And aligning expectations. That's so important. When they're misaligned, it never ends well. There's no
never
together. All right, well, let's end well. Let's end on a fun note. You have an anecdote or a fun story of something interesting that might have happened to you at BrandPoint or before that?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I have a couple, but I'll go with one. So one of the most interesting stories that I had was actually I started back at Pro Group as just a cold call person. And I got this cold call one day. I'm a big golfer, golfer. That's my hobby. So I don't know if you've ever heard of a company, Golf Tech.
Okay.
It's like an indoor golf training facility.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Random cold call, guy picked up. And it's like every salesperson's dream, right? They're like, you couldn't have called it a better time, like all this kind of stuff. So it was one of the coolest projects I've ever done. We did a couple of them. So I got to go to their facility, see all like the new clubs, how they, fit everyone, all the screens that they're putting in. You get to hit on the screen and see how far the ball goes, how much spins on it. Like the technology was just, it was amazing. And actually the client of mine actually was going to give us one of the simulator screens to put in the office. So we didn't end up getting that, but it was a really, really cool project. And obviously it hit home with me being a big golfer, and in my past life I was somewhat of a professional golfer, so it kind of hit home.
Oh, okay. Well, neat stuff. And yeah, we'll have to dig into that somewhat of a professional golfer thing. That you left us there when you buried the lead.
Yeah. Oh, you got to come back for more. That's all.
Good stuff, Josh. Really appreciate you joining us on the Daily Grind. Can't wait to see you soon, I'm sure. Well, BrandPoint's always at the ConnexFM events, and we'll see you there later this year. I'm sure. And for our audience out there, we're at 2 Central most days at ConnexFM.com. It's your Daily Grind. Have a good one.